think like this, okay? Many times, if I offer you 2, you will prefer to reject my offer, because 2, knowing that you have 10, is too a mean offer that I want to, and I want to punish your meanness, your unkindness, or so. But this is a different question. So it's a different point. We compared actual people behavior in these 4 games, and as you can see, these games are in the left part are similar. So the offer is always 2, okay? It's always 2. They differ because of the other option, the right part of the tree. In this case, the alternative is 5, 5. In this case, is 8, 2. So I offer you 8 and I keep 2. In this case, the alternative is 8, 2, which is equal, so there's no alternative here. And in this game, the alternative is 0 for you, 10 for me. And we were interested in knowing what the receiver do in this part of the game, okay, in this part of the game. And why this is interesting? This is interesting.
In the game, the receiver knows that there are only 2
Yeah, yeah. The game is common knowledge.
The person will offer you either 2 or the other thing.
Yeah.
And the receiver only sees the real.
Yeah. And so it always is common knowledge, okay, the perfect information. And as you can see, from the receiver's point of view, the choice here is exactly the same in terms of the consequences of his action. So I can accept 2 or reject. In this case, I will get 2 or 0, 2 or 0, 2 or 0, 2 or 0. And also, even if I'm interested, if I can be an altruist, for example, okay, I can be interested on your welfare. So these 2, my payoff may depends on my utility may depends on my payoff, but also on your payoff, because I am an altruist. So, but since your payoff is equal in all the four games, an altruist should choose in the same way in all the games. Okay, but even if I can be another usual explanation is inequality aversion. So I get 2, you get 8. This distribution is unequal. The inequality represents a psychological cost. I don't want to support that cost, so I prefer 0, because if I get 0, you get 0, no inequality. But also, if I inequality averse, I will behave in the same way here, 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 and here. Okay, so most of the explanation we can apply to this situation tells us that we should observe different behavior. Okay, suppose this is the rejection rate, so the percentage of responders that reject the offer. This rejection can be low or can be very high if I'm very sensitive to inequality, but crucially has to be the same in all games. Okay, low, high, and so on. What we typically observe, on the contrary, in this game is this. Okay, the rejection rate is much higher in the first game, where the alternative is 5, 5, and it's almost close to 0 when the alternative is 10, 10, 0. Okay, so people respond, players respond in different ways to the same offer in the different games. Why? Because of the alternative. Okay, because if I offer 2 here, and you know that the alternative was 5, okay, the action is interpreted in a different way than when I offer you 2, knowing that the alternative was 0. Okay, in this case, 2 is mean, is very unkind. In this case, the same $2 are perceived as kind. Okay, so people react not just to the outcome of the action, but to the entire action set, okay, to the entire alternative. That's menu dependence, okay? Why? Because it depends on the entire menu of the choices available. Why from a psychological point of view? And because comparing what you did but with what you could have done, we ascribe intentions to people. Okay, and in this case, if you offer me 2, and I know that the alternative is 5, I read this action as unkind. So I ascribe you unkind, not friendly intentions. In this case, when you offer me the same $2, but knowing that the alternative is 0, I ascribe to the same action a different flavor. Okay, in this case, the action is perceived as kind, and we know that, from theoretical point of view, but because we, at a certain point in the same experiment, we let we consider a different set of participants, people with young people with affected by ASD, which is autistic spectrum disorders. And one of the consequences of this situation, autism, is that they have a deficit in ascribing intention. They have a deficit in the so-called theory of mind. It's difficult for these people to think about other people's thoughts. Okay, so they are unable to ascribe, for example, intentions to other people, or aims, goals, and things like that. When they play the same games, we observe this pattern of behavior. So they are inequality averse because they don't accept the offer many times, but they are not sensitive to the alternative, to the intention. Okay, and these rejection rates are not statistically different. So it's a matter of ascribing intention. First example. There's another example, very simple, from a paper by Kevin McCabe, Vernon Smith, and Mary Rigdon. They compared this game, which is a trust game, okay, 2 players, 1 and 2. Player 1 can choose right and get 20 and give 20 to player 2, or player 1 can play down. In this case, it's player 2's turn, and he can play cooperatively, giving 25 to 1 and keeping 25, or he can betray, let's say, he can betray player 1 trust and keep 30 for him and giving 15 to player 1. The equilibrium of this game is that 1 should not trust player 2 because of the temptation of betrayal. They compare this game here, which is a classical is a trust game. They call it voluntary trust game, with a variance of this game, which is called the involuntary trust game. Actually, this is a dictator game, and where player 2 can only choose between 25-25 or 15-30. Player 1 has no choice here. Okay, from player 2's point of view, you see the game is exactly, the 2 games are equivalent. So player 2 has to choose between 25-25 here and here and here, or between 15-30 and 50-30. Again, if 2 is a self-interested player, he will play down, okay, here and here. If an altruist, he can play here or here, depending on the sensitivity to altruism. If he's sensitive to, is inequality averse, he can play here or here, depending on the sensitivity to inequality. But crucially, all these theories, they tell us that if you let a randomly selected group of people, these two games, we should observe the same share of people playing right and the same in this game as in this game, playing down in this game as in this game. Okay? It is clear for everybody this? I hope so. Okay. But again, what McCabe and colleagues found is that in this game, the number of people playing cooperatively is 64%, and in this game, it's only 33%. Okay, the same consequences, the same, menu here. What is the difference? The difference is that in this game, there was an alternative. Okay, when one play down in this game here, is telling two that he is telling two things. First, I expect to gain more than 20. Okay, otherwise I would have played right. Second thing is that I'll giving you the chance to get more than 20, because if you play cooperatively, you get 25. If you play it opportunistically, you get 30. Both are greater than 20. So the idea, how in this case, it's impossible for two run this kind of thinking process, because we don't know nothing. We know nothing about player one's intentions. How can I explain this result? Okay, McCabe and colleagues' explanation is based on reciprocity. Okay, what's the idea? Okay, being reciprocal means that I want to be kind or mean to those who are kind or mean to me in this case. And the idea is that, okay, consider this game here. The idea is that if I play down, as I was saying, I'll giving you the chance to get more than 20. Okay, so I doing you a favor, let's say. To respond, if you're sensitive to, if you're concerned about reciprocity, you have to choose between 30 and 25. But if you choose 30, you're betraying my trust. You're giving me only 15. In this case, 25. So a reciprocal way of thinking, a reciprocal subject may think, I would prefer 25 instead of 30 to repay, okay, your kind action. Okay, that's the idea of reciprocity. This kind of thinking this kind of reasoning can be done here, but not here. And this, according to the author, explain the difference. So when A plays, that's another form of the same game. When A plays sand, is being from B's point of view, this move is perceived as kind, and so this kindness elicits a reciprocal response from B, okay, which refrains from the opportunistic choice and prefers to cooperate. Okay, this kind of example, this kind of anomalous behavior that experimental economists gathered in the past decades lead to a modification in the theory and lead to a transformation of the theoretical models from the outcome-based models to the intention-based models. Outcome-based models are models that where the only reason to act are the payoff. Okay, so are the consequences of the actions. So they are also called forward-looking models, because the only reason that they have to choose to prefer A to B is that the payoff attached to B is better somehow. Okay, even if I'm adverse to inequality or altruism, sorry, the only thing that counts are the outcome of the actions. The intention-based models And this model, this outcome-based model are unable to account for the evidence that I show you and many other examples. The intention-based models are models that use mainly psychological game theory. And in psychological game theory, you can model also the utility. The player's utility depends not only on the consequences, but also on the action and the intention of players, and beliefs about intention, and beliefs about intention, and so on. So very sometimes complicated models. And these are used, these intention-based models have been used to model reciprocity in different ways. The first model was published by Rabin in 1993, and then in considering only static games, and then by Chornes and Rabins, and then by Diefenbaker, Kisteiger, and Falke-Fischbacher, who extended the model to dynamic games, to sequential games. These models are interesting, but with some, they show some problems. One of the one of the problems is that when we analyzed very closely some of these models, like Rabins and Chornes and Falke-Fischbacher, as Andrei Zoni and Bob Sagden did in a recent paper, we realized that these models are unable to explain trust, okay, to explain why people trust and why those who receive trust sometimes behave in a trustworthy way. So from a theoretical point of view, there seems to be a paradox of trust. However, Diefenbaker Kisteiger models survive this critique. So they are, their model is able to explain this evidence. So we focus on this model here, the only survivor. Okay, so when I defined reciprocity, I said the reciprocity is to be the desire to be kind towards who has been kind, and mean towards who has been mean. It's called positive and negative reciprocity. But how can we define kindness? Okay, when I can think that you have been kind to me, we need a benchmark. Okay, the benchmark is the so-called equitable payoff. So the equitable payoff, I don't want to go into the details because I prefer to focus on the experiment. But the equitable payoff is a sort of threshold. Okay, when your action allows me to receive a payoff which is higher than the equitable payoff, I can say that your action has been kind. Okay, when your action give me a payoff which is lower than the equitable one, I can attach to your action the label unkind. Okay, we can use this equitable payoff to measure the degree of kindness of your action, which is not 1 or 0, can be between minus something to plus something. Okay, using the so-called kindness function, which is a which is a function that says that my utility depends on my payoff, given some set of belief, minus the equitable payoff. Okay, I can calculate the degree of kindness for any action available to my counterpart.
You're always talking about the sender and the receiver game.
Yeah, the trust game.
It's always that game.
Yeah. Okay. No, you can apply this kindness function, and this framework can be applied to any games. Using the Diefenbaker Kisteiger in two sequential games. Okay, the first model by Rabin was only to static games. Okay, normal for games. No, the theory is very general. You can okay, but I want to apply it in the context of trust game.
But the kindness function is it's contingent to the history. So you're in some
Yeah.
point in the tree.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also on the belief about your action, and so the first order belief, but also on the belief that I think you entertained about my action, and so there's a hierarchy of belief. Okay, and in the simple trust game, for example, we can calculate, we can compute this kindness in this way. If A plays send, okay, A plays send. So if A trusts B, believing that B plays keep. So if I trust you, believing that you will be opportunistic, okay, so we'll keep all the money, most of the money, okay, the kindness that be attached to this action is positive, okay, it's kind, because 20 is what you get, minus 20 plus 10, divided 2, that's the equitable payoff. So because what you get is higher than the equitable payoff, the action is kind. How much kind? 5. Okay? And that's depend on the action, but also on player A belief about B's choice. On the other hand, if I play the same strategy, believing that B plays return, that B will cooperate, okay, this action cannot be kind. It's less kind. Okay, why? Because here I'm playing, I'm trusting you, knowing that you are going to be trustworthy, so I will gain from this action as well. Okay, not just you. Okay, just to give you an example. So a crucial implication of this reciprocity model is that the willingness to reciprocate, so the willingness to be trustworthy, depends on the degree of perceived kindness. So the more I think you have been kind to me, the more I will be willing to reciprocate. Okay, that's the implication of the model. Okay, so now let's try to generalize the trust game. Okay, the trust game can be thought as a game form like this, as a game 3, sorry, like this, and this game has 3 features. Okay, every trusting interaction between 2 people have these 3 characteristics. So the first one is that it's what I call the conditional gain. And the conditional gain is described by the fact that this payoff here, C, is greater than this payoff here. What does it mean? That if I trust you and you are trustworthy, I get C, which is greater than what I would have got haven't trust you. Okay, so if I don't trust you, I get A. If I trust you and you are trustworthy, sorry, I get C, which is greater than A. So conditional gain. Why conditional? Because it depends on you. Okay, it depends on my choice and your response. Pardon? Outcome. Yeah. Yes. High power. So the second point is exposure. Exposure is the risk that I incur in trusting you. And it's described by the fact that A is greater than B. So that A is greater than B. Meaning that if I trust you and you betray me, I get less than what I get if I don't trust you. So trusting other people is risky. Okay, otherwise it's no trust. And the third element is, the third feature is temptation. A is greater than F, meaning that if I trust you, you have the temptation to be opportunistic because E is greater than F. So if you betray my trust, you get E, which is greater than F. Okay, so these are three general characteristics that we find that can be used to describe or to categorize a trusting interaction.
There's no role of B here.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the point. That's the point. What about B and F? Okay, this relation is unspecified. Okay, and why? Because there are many different variants of trusting interaction. Okay, consider this example. Okay, I trust Alejandra. We are working together on a project. I trust her to do her part in the project. I'm doing my part, and I trust her. And if she is trustworthy, we get something bigger, better than what we would have got without collaboration. Okay, so this is mutual advantage. In this case, F is greater than D. But suppose I'm asking you a favor. Okay, I'm here in Santiago. I have a cat in Cagliari. Back in Cagliari, I had to ask a friend to feed the cat. I'm trusting him, but my trust for my friend is a cost because he has to go every day to feed my cat. So in this case, F is less than D. Okay, and then there's the possibility that F is equal to D. Okay, that's the point. Thanks for your intuition. Okay, so what's the point? That we can think about different variants of the trust game. Okay, that's the form that is usually studied in the literature. Okay, a form where if I trust you, there's room for mutual advantage, both for the truster and the trustee. And but if we change this payoff here, okay, in this case, D is greater than F, but it can be also much greater than, is smaller than F or equal. Okay, and I call this game the basic trust game, the gratuitous trust game, the costly trust game. This is the favor asked to a friend. That's the collaboration, and that's something in between. What's the implication of these games? That if we compute the kindness implied in the trusting move, the same move, A send to B, here, and here, because of the alternative, the degree of kindness changes. Okay, so in this game, the kindness is positive. In this game, the kindness is negative. Do you remember the implication of the theory? As the kindness increases, the willingness to respond to trust should increase. So we should observe more trustworthiness here than here than here. Okay, so that's the basic idea. So we let people play these three games. Okay, the kindness depends on the belief of the players. So depending on the belief, it moves in a range. And in the costly trust game, this range is from minus 2.5 to 0. In the gratuitous trust game, it's from 0 to 2.5, and in the basic trust game is goes from 2.5 to 5. Okay, and it's increasing. And we don't know the players' belief, so, but we know that in the 3 games, the kindness is increasing. So, okay, this is the 3 games. We use a within subject design. So the same player plays 3 games. Okay, there is a pros and cons, but the pro is that the main pro is that the saliency of the treatment. So the players see what is changing from one game to the other. So we make this aspect salient. There are a few drawbacks, so carryover effect. So my response in the second game depends on my response in the first game, in the third game, in the previous games, but you can randomize. And second problem is the experimental demand effect. So the participant may have an intuition about what the experimenter is trying to discover, and we don't have any vaccine about on this point. Okay, the hypothesis. Player B and player A. As for player B, the first hypothesis is that the probability to fulfill trust, okay, is is positive. Okay, that's a basic idea. There will be someone who prefer respond to trust instead of playing the Nash strategy. Okay, that's the first basic hypothesis. The second hypothesis is that the probability to fulfill trust will be higher in the basic trust game, where the kindness is the highest, than in the costly trust game, where the kindness is negative. Okay, that's the idea. And as for player B, the hypothesis that there will be someone who want to trust, and that their prediction of player B's behavior are correct. Okay, so they will be more willing to trust in this game, basic trust game, than in the costly trust game. So we ran the experiment Masaryk University, Brno, in Czech Republic, and we recruit 132 subjects, 47 males and 52% females. Okay, 6 sections. We programmed the experiment using Z3, and we used real incentive, and each participant was rewarded with an average of 6 euros for about 1 hour of work. Okay.
Experiment, they have to decide how to share an amount of money?
No, they have to play. Okay, sorry. They have to play these games. Yeah. These are euros.
Yeah, they have to.
Okay, yeah. These are actual euros. Okay, so if A prefer holds, okay, B gets 20 euros and A 10. Okay, if I trust you and you are trustworthy, I get 15, you get 15, and okay. Then they play all the games. Then we randomly select one game. I paid the game. Plus, there's a shop fee. When you come in the lab, you gain a fixed pay. So that's the timeline. We first read the instruction and explained the payment procedure. Then they played a balanced sequence of the games. So 50% played in the 3 games in one order, and 50% in the reverse order, to avoid this carryover effect. Then they asked them their belief about other players' choices, and they paid for the accuracy of their guesses. Okay, then they participate in a so-called norm following task, which is a task that sorry, which is a task that can be used to measure individuals' general willingness to respect a norm. Okay, it's a strange task, but it's very effective, and it goes like this. Okay, you have 1 minute to put 50 balls into these two buckets. Okay, the yellow one, the blue one. You are free to put all the balls here, and in whatever share you prefer, knowing that for each ball that you put in the yellow bucket, you gain, okay, 0.1 point that will be paid. And for each ball in the blue bucket, you gain half of this amount, okay? 0.05 points. Then you tell you that the rule is to put the balls in the blue bucket. After it's up to you, okay? You can do whatever you want. What's your choice?
All the balls in the yellow bucket.
All the balls here, okay? Rational.
Consequence of not following the rule?
Pardon? No, not at all. No, that's not correct. There are not evident or material consequences. There are psychological consequences. Your inner self tells you it's wrong. Okay? And in fact, nobody's put all the balls here. Okay? They share the balls in the two buckets in different ways, and the number of balls put it in the blue bucket can be used as a measure of the willingness to follow a general rule, okay, whatever the rule says. And so then we elicit risk attitudes using the Holt-and-Lowry task. Then we measure their empathy, a so-called cognitive reflection test, which is a test that measures the ability to resist to impulsive behavior. And then we measure guilt and shame proneness, and then we after the last sociodemographic questionnaire, we pay them. Okay?
Of empathic concern or?
No, we use I think in this case, we use the empathy quotient by Baron Cohen test, but I'm not sure.
No, yeah, okay.
But we use different empathy scale. I don't remember if here we use the empathy quotient or the interpersonal reactivity index. Yes, I don't remember. I can check it, but it's not very significant. So okay, that's the results of the norm following task. As you can see, that's the average number of balls put in the blue bucket and the yellow bucket. Most of the people prefer, okay, follow the rule. We know reason. And these are the most interesting results. That's the percentage, the share of people playing trust in the three games. So this player A behavior and this player B behavior, the number of people that cooperate in the trust game. And as you can see, there's a lot of people willing to trust, but the percentage of people of trustful moves is not different across the games. Okay, why? Because they are very good at predicting the trustees' behavior, which is invariant across the games. So here the kindness is positive, here the kindness is negative, but players don't react to the kindness, okay? Implied or signaled by ace choices. And so the first result is that the truster decision, so the A player decision does not change with degree of kindness. And the second result is that trustees correctly anticipate, sorry, that's the opposite. So trustees' decision to fulfill, so player B does not vary with the kindness, and the trustors, so player A, correctly anticipate such menu independence. Okay, why? Because the decision to repay trust doesn't change with the alternatives. Okay. Okay, some econometric estimates. We see that in the gratuitous trust game, there is less trust, which is quite strange. There's an influence of gender. Male tend to trust more, which is a standard in the literature, while female tend to be more trustworthy. And no effect on player B's behavior. And there's the effect of expectation. Actually, I will trust you more when I expect that you are trustworthy. Okay, and in all the games, that's correct. So he was the IRA, and there's a positive effect of empathy, but also in the costly game, in the costly trust game. That means that when you ask me a favor, basically, my willingness to repay, to respond positively to the favor, to your expectation, depends on my ability to empathize with you. Okay, and which is not true when there's room for mutual advantage. Okay, and that's the propensity to fulfill trust from B's point of view. In this case, and that's interesting because if I expect, if I think that you expect me to be trustworthy and you trust me, this fact increases my willingness to respond to your trust. Okay, and okay, then two more analysis. We run two more analysis. The first one, we try to classify all the players according to types. And we describe types using the behavior not just in one game, but in all games. So for example, type 1 is a player that never repaid trust. Okay, type 2 is a player that repaid trust only in the basic trust game. Type 3 is a player that repaid trust in basic trust game, gratuitous trust game, but not in the costly trust game, and until player 8, type 8, who has been always trustworthy. And that's the distribution of the types. And what are the most popular types? The unconditional players. Okay, those who always fulfill trust and those who never fulfill trust. So it looks like reciprocity and kindness has nothing to do with the decision to repay trust. Okay, so it seems to be more a matter of following a norm. Okay, following some form of not calculative reasoning. Okay, so deciding whether to fulfill trust or not fulfill trust, people doesn't entertain calculation. Okay, it's not. It looks like it's not a deliberative process, and we know something about this because we ran the last analysis, which is the time response analysis. We analyzed we gathered and analyzed the time, the time implied or the time necessary to make each decisions in each games. Okay, because the software allows us to do this kind of analysis, and you see the decision to so playing right in this case is betray trust. Okay, which from a theoretical point of view is the right thing to do. Okay, if you want to maximize your payoff, but it takes time to decide, okay, to betray trust. What's the decision to fulfill trust is much more intuitive. Okay, it's easier from a cognitive point of view decide to repay trust in all the games. So it seems that the natural thing to do is when someone trusts you is just repay trust. And sorry, okay, I don't have the times analysis, response analysis for the A's behavior, which is not relevant here. Okay, conclusions. The idea was to study menu dependence or independence in the context of trust game, and there seems to be no reciprocating kindness at work here, because we see that in the different games there are different benefits but the same level of trustworthiness. So trustworthiness, it seems to be unrelated to the kindness, perceived kindness. However, this evidence is consistent with different alternative explanations. For example, guilt aversion by Battigalli-Diefenberg, the model of pain respect by Ellingsen Johannesson, or the idea of trust responsiveness by Pelligra, which is me, and Bacharach and colleagues. But all these alternative theories of a trait of a feature in common, which I call the active vulnerability. So the idea that the willingness to fulfill trust, to respond in a positive way to your trust, depends in a crucial way to the fact that you accept and you willingly put yourself in a critical position. Okay, you accept your vulnerability and you deciding to trust someone means something like that. Okay, I want willingly accept the possibility to be betrayed. Okay, and this point is what is one of the reasons that motivate people not to leave this arrow. Okay, not to betray your trust, because when I trust someone, is like when I say I know you're a good person. Okay, but you can enjoy this compliment only when you conform to what I say. Okay, if I say you're a good person, it's like I'm giving you a present, but you can open this present only if you conform to my expectation over you. If you betray my trust, you yourself judge your action as a negative. So you impose a psychological cost on you. So your own punishment, okay? Because you don't conform to my expectation, which is most of the time, which is not explicit, but it's implied by the action of trust. Okay, so that's it. Thank you. Yeah.
I can think about two variations of the games. One, I understand that each subject played each game only once.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess if they played like
Repeatedly.
the behavior can change.
Yeah.
People get fed up of not being trusted or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe be gooder if they always trust the player or something like that.
Yeah.
And the other one is here, there's only one player that makes the final decision.
There's
right?
only one?
Player that makes a final decision about how the man who gets what. If the game continues, I mean.
Okay.
And I think
So player B.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think about cases where first one player like decides that, and then in a only one another repetition or different game, they alternate roles in the game. So whoever was player A first, would be player B.
Okay. Role switching.
Yes, and they play twice. So
okay.
Everything changes. That
Yeah, completely different games. No, more than one. No, the first one is, there's a huge literature because it's much easier to explain cooperation when you pay repeatedly, because there's the fourth theorem. So the fourth theorem tells that even completely self-interested players have an interest in cooperating in an indefinitely or infinitely repeated game, because there are many different strategies that can induce cooperation, for tit for tat, for example. Okay, I start cooperating. If you cooperate, I keep cooperating. If you defect, I start defecting, and so on. Okay, and it's quite easy to show that cooperation, always cooperate, is a Nash equilibrium.
You need to be playing to the same person.
Yeah.
Always, right?
Yeah.
That you can like randomize the.
Okay, so in a stranger.
But your rival is changing.
Yeah. Oh, that's different because it's a sequence of one-shot games.
Yeah.
You will have a sequence of one-shot games, and the
Regarding the population, you are.
yeah, there will be the effect of of learning the degree of how trustworthy people are diffuse, how much are they diffuse in the population. Right. Okay, that's interesting. The problem is that you cannot explain, you cannot fit this kind of design in the model I want to test, the Diffenberg-Steiger model.
And the other one,
role switching, yeah. In many experiments, they use role switching to maximize the number of observation. Okay, and there's no much difference usually. I'm not aware of role switching games like this, but usually there's no significant difference. Okay, but it's more like a expedient to save money when you have to pay subjects. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but role switches, I think if you experience the experience to be someone trusting you, and then you will trust in the person, but if the person doesn't trust in you, how you play in the other position is different. I think that how you experience. How was the other review?
Yeah. Probably in the long run, there will be a decay in the degree of cooperative matchings. Probably there will be a decreasing. I don't know. Yeah, because in the population there are different. Okay, type 1 and type 8. Type 1 never repay trust. Type 8 repay trust. It's a matter of matching. Okay, it's a matter of probability that a trusting player is paired with a trustworthy partner, and if the sample is big enough, there could be a problem because because many times I trust the wrong person. Okay, and a trustworthy participant may not be trusted because is paired with a distrustful A player. So in this case, with reshuffle, probably there will be a decay, but I'm not sure. Yeah. Other questions? Yeah. Hi.
In the case, the didn't explain very clear the last concept.
The last, okay, the active vulnerability. Okay, the idea is that okay, why you sign a contract, for example, why when you buy a car, a second-hand car, you sign a contract? Because you're not trusting, you don't trust 100% your seller, or the seller doesn't trust 100% the buyer. Okay, so we sign a contract, and if we don't keep our words, there will be a judge that has the power to make that the contract binding. Okay, so you sign a contract in order to not be forced to trust the other person. Okay, but there are cases when consider, for example, a prenup. You know what's a prenup is? Is a prenuptial contract. When the day before your marriage, you go to your fiancée and ask her, why don't you sign this contract that regulates all the arrangement, because I love you very much. I want to stay with you all my whole life, but nobody knows. Okay, what would be the effect of this request on your fiancé? Good or bad? Positive or negative reaction? What do you think?
Negative.
Quite negative reaction, probably. Why? Because you are signaling that you love her, but you don't really trust her. Okay, and in this case, you are showing that you don't want to be vulnerable to her action. Okay, and active vulnerability is the opposite. I expose myself willingly, not because I have to do, I'm free, but for example, I tell you a secret. Okay, I'm exposing myself to the risk of being betrayed, but doing this, I'm signaling that I trust you, really trust you. Okay, and this signal, okay, is what motivates you not to betray my trust. That's the idea, and that's a characteristic shared by all this theory here. Okay, there is quite large evidence that when you want to restrict the room for trust, because there's a story told by David Packard. David Packard is the founder of Hewlett Packard computer, brand. And Packard, before founding the HP, was working for General Electric. Okay, and he told the story that at General Electric, the managers were so concerned about the possibility that workers were stealing the parts, the electronic parts, were stealing the tools, that they were particularly attentive to store and lock all the parts, and also to, come si dice, perquisire, to check the workers when they were exiting the factory. Yes, and he says this evident display of distrust pushed all the workers to steal as much as they can. Okay, it's a challenge. You're saying to me that you think I'm a thief. Okay, I will behave like this, like you think. Okay, and he goes in the biography, and he writes, when we founded HP, we had already learned that lesson, so we decided to leave all the storage open, and to leave free the workers to do whatever they want, and then he concluded, we save money in two ways. One, because we hadn't to pay the checkers, okay, the other monitors to check the workers, and then we build a climate of trust that's very profitable for the company. Okay, so they accept the risk that some of their workers were going to steal the parts, but by doing that, they motivate the worker not to do. Okay, that's a sort of self-fulfilling quality of trust. Okay, and also self-fulfilling, unfortunately, quality of distrust. If you don't trust people, you create opportunism. Okay, if you trust people, not always, because it's risky, but many times you generate trustworthiness and cooperation. Okay. Thanks for the question. Yeah.
Do you know if data from pupillary response
Dilation
takes some role? Or, I mean, if you are measuring the
time response
time, I mean, someone can be confused in the decision and not paying any cognitive load on the task, and you can control.
Yeah, but there's a systematic variation. Okay, and I don't trust very much this kind of analysis, and it's very disputed because who knows? But I don't know. The pupil dilation is a proxy for emotional arousal.
I don't know if in emotional terms, but at least for cognitive load, it's
no, I don't know. We can do it. Okay, we can use night tracker.
You talk about other experiments with people with these disorders of
autistic spectrum disorder,
and there are some disorders that you can also check with the pupillary, not size but the
movement.
The movement.
So
I don't know.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Now we are in time. Thank you very much, Vittorio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sì. Okay.
Thank you. Time to lunch. Ciao Paola, come stai?
Ciao,
Ben trovata.
ben arrivato.
Grazie, grazie.